Good evening for me and those who are not very far away from Ukraine or are in Ukraine. I'm really happy to have all of you on the channel tonight. Our tradition, please confirm that you can hear me and you can see me well, and everything is fine with that connection, because that is bad if you don't hear me. And greetings to many of your beautiful locations. Um, to your oblast, and I especially liked Mio Slava Ukraini. Yeah, I know that perhaps you know that in Ukraine we sometimes, when joking or when saying something nice, we call our soldiers cats. Actually, not cats. In Ukrainian, we have many diminutives, and it sounds like kotiki. Kotiki. So this is just like that. Greetings to Michigan Oblast, greetings to Indiana and Canada, which is Canada in Ukrainian, and Virginia, Appalachia Oblast. You have very beautiful nature, and I would love to visit you once. And New York Oblast, and Spain, and meows to all. Yeah, meows to all. Do you know, by the way, that Ukrainian cats say meow or nyav? Meow or nyav? I always wondered why in different languages animals say different things, but that is cute. Greetings to Chile and Finland, and greetings to my special moderators, Martin and Spencer. Spencer has a very good plan for this evening, and that not only includes us, maybe he will share later. And Martin is here, and I'm very blessed to have these guys in my life and in life of Ukraine, as they are great supporters. So as are you. Yeah, yeah, that's what say Japanese cats. I imagine like a Russian troll coming to my channel, for example, to monitor what this Ukrainian woman is talking about, and what he hears, like meow meow, and he says, "Okay, perhaps we have already won if they are meowing on YouTube." Greetings to California, Germany, Illinois, many, many beautiful places, France. I'm honored, Wisconsin. Um, in Ukrainian, I will say Wisconsin. We don't have w labial sound. That's why I sometimes make mistakes in my videos. Wisconsin, but it sounds very similar. Greetings to Istanbul and to the UK and to Georgia and many, many greetings to all of your beautiful places. And as you might have noticed, um, I gave the name for our today's live because I thought it will, to some extent, shape the discussion. Of course, I'm always glad to answer any of your questions concerning what we eat and what we think. But honestly, greetings to Nevada and Oregon. But honestly, I did not feel like super excited these days, and perhaps you all know the reasons. Many awful attacks on Ukraine that led to many people killed, many innocent people killed. And the stories that we learn behind these tragedies, they are indeed heartbreaking. And, you know, there is a lot that we have inside Ukraine and that Facebook blares and Instagram blares. And I don't want like to constantly bring that to you, because I do understand those of you who tell me that you don't watch some of the videos because you feel bad about that. As a Ukrainian, I don't have an option not to watch because it is my reality. And there were lots of heartbreaking things in the village Froza, how this telephones, still phone, when people are dead. and someone tries to reach them, and when the sound of the ringtone actually is Czerwona Kalina. Thank you so much for buying me coffee, Scott. And I have my tea with lemon because it's really um, cold today and very windy. And it's always like bad because I felt like there are some things I want to tell you as my friends, but at the same time, it's like a teacher, when some students miss the classes. You say, "Oh, that's so bad. Why are they doing this?" And actually, you address the good ones, the ones that are present in the class. And when I'm saying something that people don't understand or people don't feel, I want you to know I do not address you. I know that you are with Ukraine in your heart and that you do a lot. Even your presence on the channel, your likes and shares, they change. Your letters to your senators, t-shirts that you buy and demonstrate that Ukraine exists. True evil is in Russia. And that is why things that I say, British Columbia, Ireland, now the beautiful country that I've visited, I'm not addressing like to you. I'm saying that you don't know or you don't feel. I'm saying it to tell you what is it. Well, first, it's because sometimes it seems to me that I look very optimistic, and that's the way I am. Like, there are different kinds of people. Plus, I honestly don't like those who turn on the camera and start crying, because I think like crying or worrying is a very intimate and personal experience, and I would never be able. I do feel like a teacher or like a TV presenter, and I care about the audience, and I don't want you to like show you something like that. But this does not mean that sometimes we do not feel like betrayed, or we do not feel very anxious. What was my dad's last message to me? He died after an operation. That was a complicated operation. He did not go out from anesthesia, but his last message was, "Everything's gonna be fine." So many Ukrainians do tell you everything's gonna be fine, and tomorrow a missile comes. Once again, I'm not manipulating. I do believe I will grow old and tired of this life, and everything's gonna be all right. But uh, but with all this elections taking place, and I do want to record a video about that, of course, without any judgments. I don't go into your politics, into your parties. I don't know that, and I'm like smart enough not to speak about the things that I'm not an expert in. But all these emotions, like all elections, whatever party you represent, they are super emotional. They are always dirty. And some of you told me that, "Oh, you can try and be a politician." I had this dream when I was like in the 11th grade at school, and my dad would say, "Greetings to Budapest, beautiful city you live in." And my dad used to say, "You have to be a prime minister or an academician or someone like that." And I did want to be like, I don't know, a president. I'm a quite ambitious person, and I'm not lazy. And then when I'm not doing anything, I feel like, oh my God, life is finished for me. So I feel better when I have a lot of things happening. But then I read one. I hope we don't have many politicians among the viewers. And once again, there are really good politicians, very interesting people. But someone told me that a career of a politician is for a person who wants to be famous but has no talents at all. and has to like and uses this influence, this power to be famous, but not writing books, music, I don't know, playing soccer, um, discovering medicine. So I do enjoy the things that I can change in the culture, in media, and I see like that with your help, these opportunities they get bigger. Uh, but when all of these elections are coming, people are super emotional, um, and lots of bad things appear, and countries are quarreling, and people have doubts, and it is okay if you were not like ill as Ukraine at the moment, not actually ill but wounded. Um, don't like when you feel that we are a bit emotional or we are not doing something the way you expect us. Think about like I don't know. Uh, think about um, a relative who is sick, like, and he cannot take proper care or he cannot do lots of things because he's fighting that disease, and you help him, and if you are a really good person, you don't tell him, wow, your medicines are very expensive, I don't know, maybe you don't eat enough or you don't want to get healthy. And that's what many people say to Ukraine right now. Like even one friend of mine just recently sent me an email with an advice: you have to show something so that we continue liking and supporting Ukraine because people are getting tired and so on. um, Guys, okay, we will show you, but that's not a sport competition. That's a question of human lives. That's a question of country survival. And most importantly, a question, once again, not to you. I do know you understand. I mean, don't you think that it is Putin who showed us everything? And I'm very grateful for those of you who tell me as long as it takes. Believe me, inside of Ukraine, we don't have so many quarrels. We don't see our politicians growing that reach or something. Do you think that like all the money that are given to Ukraine are spent on something bad? And then, when they say you got to show something, I have this question like, you've promised us F-16. We have thanked you 16 times for these F-16s that we don't have yet. And it's like months, and in the heads of many people, we already have them. We fly them, we use them. No, we don't. So we may also say, show us something, demonstrate us something. And I am very much afraid that, like, I am on one really interesting project. I help in making one documentary for Ukrainian television that might be translated into English, and that is one of the things why they also invited me. And I'm not going to speak about that because I'm a kind of a person who needs to finish and then first talk about that. And we interview lots of people who work with in diplomacy, in fighting Russian propaganda. And what they say is that sometimes people are afraid when they see something they cannot beat, when they see this biblical evil, like, for example, well, let's look at one case when Kakhovka Dam was destroyed by Russians. It was obvious. They did that. They planned to do it. They don't care about nature. They don't care about people. It was their terror I was in Berlin. You remember, I read the news. I felt super bad, honestly. Until you experience such things, I don't wish you once again, but you never know how connected you are actually to Ukraine, to your country. And I felt really bad. And then you read the news, and many newspapers and magazines say we have to figure out who did that. We have to analyze first. And if you have noticed, nothing changed. And like this case of the explosion of Kakhovka Dam, a huge ecocide, and hundreds of people dead, and houses destroyed, and perhaps some like thousands, tens of thousands of animals killed. This is huge, guys. This is more than anything that like you can experience, and hopefully you never will. This is huge, but who talks about that? Nobody. Nobody thinks like that. That is long forgotten. Now we will talk for a week about Kupiansk and Hroza. Then in 2 weeks we will talk about something else. But it is Ukraine that has to show something. And it is very, very, very painful, like when it's not a show. Guys, we are fighting evil, and believe me, if Putin says he fights against the West, and he repeats that very often he repeats that. Don't you think he means what he says? From my Ukrainian experience, well, not only going against civilians makes them evil, invading a country that does not want to be with you, you don't have any connection, any rights on that country, that is evil, even if you start killing its military. Come on. And some say that, some smart people, really clever people say that when they see, like, politicians, global influencers, when they see the level of this evil, that it reaches this biblical sizes, like, well, you don't know what to do with it. And you start looking for excuses, like, oh, and Ukraine is not that, like, maybe it's a little bit corrupt, or they did not show that much as we wanted them. You see, the first weeks of invasion, they were so, and now we are tired, all the same, nothing changes. Look at Russia. Our problem is Russia. Not like, I don't think that Ukraine threatens the world in any way. And Russia does. Just for a second. I know it will be worse for me, but just for a second, imagine Ukraine loses. Do you think they will be afraid of Poland because Poland like bought new tanks? No, it will not. It will not. It will see that like you are tired, right? So relax and enjoy new world order. It was like that after the Second World War. After the Second World War, Nazi regime has fallen, but communist totalitarian regime did not. And people understanding they are weak, they cannot do anything, they choose to pretend that they actually don't want to do anything and that they want to observe this situation from outside. Okay, this might give you 5-10 years of normal life. Perhaps they will continue killing us like 5 years, and then they will go on with you. Don't think it is just a Ukrainian problem, honestly. And like, stop looking for good Russians. I'm sorry, but that's what I feel, because I feel so many people are talking to Ukrainians as if we are at sports competitions, and Russia is just like a bully who quarrels with you in a dressing room. Don't you realize this is the country that created Bucha, that erased Mariupol, that made an explosion on Kakhovka Dam, that killed 52 people on the funeral? That's the country. So it's not about Ukraine jumping above the head without F 16, for which we have already thanked a lot. So, thank you, Pat, for your kind words. Once again, I feel like I'm saying it to the wrong audience because you do understand what I mean. And I don't want to sound like an angry Ukrainian. And believe me, we're so much afraid, like, to be misunderstood. But it's problem that it has already honestly become a normal, and like people imagine it as a competition, and you are just like watching and you're thinking. And I saw someone mentioned Budapest Memorandum, and before I started reading it, and no, I don't get invited to TV or radio shows. Uh, you know, um, I recently asked one influential EU politician. I have this possibility inside some of the projects that I run on communication, and I have asked him a question. That, okay, we understand that we cannot send NATO EU troops to Russia because this will escalate. I understand that we cannot send missiles that we are given by our allies to Russian territory, though it's absurd, but we are not allowed, so we don't do that. Can we organize, together with, I don't know, our allies, some informational operations in Russia? Because come on, we have so many people zombied. If you care about this, Russians, you have to think how to liberate them, how to return them back to normality, how to de-zombie them, if it's possible to say. And you know what he answered me? No, that would be interference in the other country's policy, and that's against our rules. And my answer here is that I am very afraid that at this moment the world is so tolerant and so preoccupied with theory that if Hitler existed, he would also have won. Because who are we to judge him and interfere in their internal policy, right? That's exactly what they are saying. So we cannot interfere into Russia. Don't you think that evil is boiling in Russia? That Russia is exploding, I'm sorry, with shit, threatening all the world with nukes, making friends with North Korea, killing civilians and children. Those of you who care that dogs are dying on the streets of your beautiful cities, children are dying on the streets of my beautiful cities that just recently were very similar to yours. Not because we are corrupt, not because we have bad economy, not because our president is a comedian or something, but because Russia attacked us. And Russia is still treated like a country, and we cannot interfere into their internal policy because that will make us what? Fighters? And I'm very, very much afraid that the world is too tolerant to solve this problem, and the more problems will occur, the more Russia feels that, like, people don't know, oh my God, we've never witnessed such evil, we don't know what to do with that. The more Russia sees such reactions, the more people feel they cannot do anything, and they will say, well, like, we did help Ukraine, but like, but it did not show the results we hoped for. But Russia constantly shows you the results. Isn't that Russia who motivates all of us? But looks like not. Okay, I think that was enough of my complaints. Prescribe it or ascribe it or connect it to October and other things. But I see that people say that they don't believe anything can be done to Russia. That's what I hear from very many clever people. They think that the only thing is possible is to like build invisible fence with them and armor Ukraine, but at the same time we are tired from armoring Ukraine. So I don't know, maybe just like creating a buffering zone. But don't you think they will go out of that buffering zone? So I see that the plan is very. There is no plan. There is no plan. And that's a problem. So once again, I was reading for one of our videos. Also, I was making research on Budapest Memorandum, and inside Ukraine, and outside Ukraine, everyone says like, "Oh, we are so stupid for signing this Budapest Memorandum. We are stupid. We are stupid. We are stupid." No, if you look deep into that, if you stand on those values that most democratic societies declare as their vital, then Ukraine was not simply smart, Ukraine was an example of this modern state that wanted to give up dangerous nuclear weapons that threaten the world. Ukraine declared to all over you, we don't want to kill others. We don't want to threaten you with nukes because, come on, after the Second World War, we have to be smarter. We have to respect each other. That's why we give up our nuclear weapons. You can follow our examples, and the world will be a better place. And the world turned out to be different. In this real world, Ukraine looked stupid, and now when everyone is tired of actually, like, you failed to protect Ukraine that did such a good thing. And now, when it desperately asks, not just because we want to have a big army as in Poland without war, but because we are being killed, like, and we are asking for air defense and other stuff, and that's too much, that's too much of an appetite. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I don't know, like, and I see it as weakness, like people concentrate on the things that give them excuse. This is, you know thank you so much, Larry, for buying me coffees. And thank you so much, Johnny. Johnny, I am super grateful to you. I don't know, such things also inspire. Thank you. And once again, I'm not saying this to you because I know, guys, you stand with Ukraine, and there are millions who do. And honestly, it's more about politics because they can turn any question the way they like. Greetings to New Orleans. And I feel like Nazi regime was awful. It's impossible to imagine how such evil could exist, but now Russia proves similar evils are possible. Nazi regime existed, I don't know, since 36 or something to 45. In Russia, this totalitarian, people-hating regime is for decades. They did not know anything else. You cannot expect anything normal to come out of Russian society. And you know what? Nobody actually wants even to save that orcs in future, like, and their children, because you have to conduct operations, you have to liberate them, you have to, like, what is the future of a person in North Korea? What is the future of that person? She will know nothing, she will experience nothing, she will look really bad, she will be miserable, and other stuff. Imagine that you liberate that person. Maybe for a year or two, she will feel like, oh my God, they ruined my leader, my world, and so on. But then these people will become healthy and clever, and maybe 10-15% will remain in the darkness, but the rest will come and become normal. And no, now no one is thinking. So if we are honestly, you see how fake this tolerance is. Actually, this kindness or neutrality or something. We will not intrude. We will not work with them. If they like were real Democrats, real. I don't mean political party. I mean people who care for democracy. If they were like for freedom and choice, they'd understand um, we have to do something to help these people. So actually taking care about Russia and Russian people is not to say no, there might be some good Russians. Look at some Russian vloggers, dig deeper, maybe somewhere they are silent. No, uh, you have to liberate them then, and then work with them for 10, 20, 30 years as it was done in Germany. And you see that is one of the healthiest societies now we can learn a lot from. But work must be done, and nobody wants to do anything with Russia. They want like, oh, no, 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 that might be dangerous. We don't interfere. No, thank you. And thank you so much, William, for coffees. And I need some tea and then start saying, yeah. So let's be more constructive, as you say. And there are some good things that you are asking. Thank you so much, Magnus. Am I good at pronouncing? But I'm always afraid to repeat your name. I'm very grateful to learn more about your cultures. Well, first, don't doubt the very first thing that you can do. Don't doubt that Russia is evil. Don't think that maybe, thank you so much, Koril 1978, for coffee. Don't doubt that Russia is evil and that it is not limited to President Putin. Don't think it will be easy. Um don't treat war in Ukraine as a sport competition. Like, I know you do that, but I mean, like, what can you tell people? And like, don't forget about that. Don't think it's a new normal, because sooner, like, I'm sorry, sooner or later we may um, die out and they will move. And actually, there is a question, how will Ukraine maintain security? Like many advise, you will have to turn into Israel. And what is happening today in Israel? It is the worst case scenario when you have to be like super militarized. Ukraine by nature, actually. Oh, another question that I got once from my subscriber. And I understand, and it's good that you ask me questions, and I'm always glad to answer them. So that was a question. Then, looking into Ukrainian history, you had so many wars and so many fights. So, will you be able to live without war? Well, first of all, like last real war on the territory of Ukraine, I mean, like with bombs and aviation, was the Second World War, and it was just the same ago as in your countries. We were suppressed for a really long period of time. Greetings to Austria. And like most of the times we never like invaded or wanted a piece of other country. We were unlucky to be among the empires, but many of your countries went through this experience. And it's just like asking an ill person, like, you were ill all the time and now you're healthy, how will you live? You can move faster, you can breathe deeper. That is so unusual. You fell to this like lion regime, and now. And with Russia, I'd compare that like this kindness, this desire not to interfere that many global leaders demonstrate actually remind me a doctor who, like, you have a very serious infection, for example, in your leg that can lead to, I don't know what's the English for that, but when it's really infected, it can cause things that you will die. So at a certain moment of time, uh, you need your leg to be cut in case you want to survive. So you sacrifice your limb, but come on, there are lots of prostheses. Many men and women are now walking on our streets, actually. Thank you for coffee. You remind me to take a sip. And, lots of, uh, and you have this choice. And of course, it's better to sacrifice a limb and to survive. And these kind global leaders, thank you, Danny, who want to like pretend that Russia is still normal, is still negotiable, is not a pure evil terrorist regime, and so on. No, I did not speak about Ukraine. They don't want to cut Russia. They don't want to perform some medical operations on the country that may actually save her and its citizens and its population. I'm sorry. Nobody wants to do that. They say, no, we don't interfere. We don't interfere, and so on. So, I mean, like, they, like, nobody wants to do anything. And we are, believe me, we are doing something. Today I watched a video of one lady who is at the front lines. Well, like, she does not spend all the time there. She's in some medical service. And she says, oh my God, well, guys, about the taxes in your countries, I don't think that all of these taxes go to Ukraine. I don't think. I think there is always a problem where your government spend your taxes inappropriately. I have never had people satisfied with the way government spends their taxes. And I can tell you, like, this is just a very similar question that I may say. I'm a normal lady, you see. I am not wild. I am educated. I speak languages. I do sports. Am. I read books. I'm effective. I'm good. Why do I have to go through war? Why do I have to live in such a time? Why do I have to have blackouts? Why do I have to buy stuff to warm my house? Why do I have like to be afraid? Thank you so much for coffee. So you shut me down. So I see that there are some trolls that like asking why aren't I not join the military. Women do not have this obligation in Ukraine, and I don't feel the urge and the need. And with such questions, you actually give me a part of your energy that I drink, and I feel charged with all of your troll questions. Didn't you know that? Perhaps after asking me some questions, you feel a little bit exhausted, maybe some tingling in your fingertips or heart palpitations. That's me. I drink your energy with every such question. I'm sorry, that was a brief address to the trolls. I honestly feel this energy that they give me. Perhaps that is my, like, God gave me the superpower. So, yeah, but only of these trolls, that's it. So, the question is that Of course, like there are lots of things that we question. You cannot imagine, like, if you want to know some inside um, feelings in the country, uh, is like many people. Uh, some, of course, feel that, um, like we have like civic duty. Someone reminded me, um, like we pay taxes and we have an additional tax. And I'm also like having my NGO and doing some project work. I'm an entrepreneur or something. I don't know how do you explain that. And of course, like I pay all of my taxes in Ukraine, and I was offered like with an NGO, you can open it in abroad, and it will be better for you. But I would never choose such an option because, like, I need my activity, my life to be present and to be felt in my country. Like even the fact that I bought myself pizza or I did the nails today. Thank you so much, Jenny, for a coffee. It's also important for the survival of the country. Everything is important, like everything. And so I feel totally um, okay about that. And I wanted to continue. Like, of course, once again, I wish you to never experience what is war. But like war started for me in my country, war started in 2014. And before that, it was a very difficult 2013. And this was a very difficult period, like seeing people shot on Maidan, seeing how we were afraid that Russia will annex us, and then Crimea annexation, and then the start of the war. Then this conflict was to some extent uh, limited to the eastern part of Ukraine, but still, it was mobilization. It was the feeling that anything can happen any moment. So, starting from 2013, 2014, we live with the understanding that anything bad can happen anytime. Since 2022, it is happening. So come on. I am like this. I don't know. I prefer to feel myself as a young person. UN says it's up to 44, so I still have years ahead of me. But let's look at it like 2014, let's do it that way, 2023, and it's very likely it will be 2024. I'm a realist, so 10 years. 10 years of something that is supposed to be my best age, like when I can travel most, when I can have most of my fun, when I can have like um, a lot of things happening. That's the golden age. Like you're not super young, but you're not old, and you can like, and yeah, prime years. Thank you, sister. And it's war, and it's lots of bad things happening, it's lots of darkness, it's lots of emotions, it's lots of things that I don't share with you. But come on, um dying mother in times of blackouts, lots of such unbearable things. And uh, I don't question the taxes at this moment because I have like worse things. But I could ask these questions like, why do I have to go through this uh, in my prime years? And many do. And why so many people, thank you, Mikhail, perhaps. Um, and and I think that so many people died in their best years. Like all of this, like you cannot imagine how many um, graves we have, fresh graves of people who are 30, 38, 25, 27. That's huge. And we can ask this question. We can ask a lot of questions like, Where is Budapest Memorandum? Why do we have to die? Why do you fail us? But we don't, because we understand if we start asking such questions, we will lose. And if you start asking such questions, we will lose. Evil is in Russia. Don't look for it in Ukraine. Don't try to find excuses by saying it's just like, um, you're doing something bad to your loved one, and then you say, "But I always hated her perfume. That's why I don't know, cheated on her." Okay, that's not exactly an excuse. So, thank you so much for your likes. And let's speak about maybe something more positive, because I'm afraid I will leave all of you with this depression. Once again, in general, I'm an optimistic person. Thank you so much, Peter. 20 times, thank you. And once again, I do focus. I do like things. I do like my new red nail polish, and I'm so happy when you buy our t-shirts. That's my classic one. I like it so much because it's a perfect gray color, but I feel really stupid because I like people like around me like they Ukrainians do if they are not satisfied with something. And so I was like, it's stupid to wear it with your name, Anna from Ukraine, like when nobody is following your channel and like everyone around you is from Ukraine. And I was wearing it in Lviv. I was in Lviv yesterday for a brief interview. And I'm sure if I'd tell you with whom I had interviews, but that's for a documentary, not for a channel, you would know these people. And my friend, she saw it. You can subscribe to my Instagram and see my friend there. And she told me like, "Oh my God, I want the same, but with my name on it." So yeah. And today we have very, very bad weather. It was super windy, but not that cold. And actually, I had some work to do at the computer. And when I went out, I was like super dressed up. And it turned out not to be so cold as it looked from the window. Yeah, advertising. Thank you very much. I look more beautiful when I'm angry or I complain. I know some people whom I consider more beautiful when more attractive. Thank you so much, Scott. When they are angry, so maybe the same happens to me. 92,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. That is such an inspiration, guys. You cannot imagine. Like, honestly, a very big part of my optimism is our friendly community because, like, I feel we have this mutual support. There are some things that you want to know, and I'm so grateful that you want to know these things. And thank you, Eric, for such beautiful words. Thank you, Martin and Spencer, for being so awesome. Tony, thank you for coffees. And that honestly means so much to me. And of course, so what I had questions about the book. I'm very grateful to those people who asked me about the book I'm writing. With this traveling, thank you someone for a coffee. With this traveling, I was like not very good up to my schedule, but actually I think thank you so much, Gorillo. It escaped me once again. I don't always can read your names, but I definitely return back to coffees and I will write to you, to each of you directly, because that's really good. And also, I don't know, those of you who buy our merch, have you heard the messages that I record? Because that's what I do. After every purchase, I record a personalized message. And I never like receive feedback, and I don't know, do you ever listen to it? But I'm doing my best. Thank you so much, Lukasz. And yeah, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Then it's not like me doing nothing. And thank you for joining my Patreon. Patreon. Yeah, that is an inspiration. So yes, I continue writing the book, and I am happy to say that perhaps I'm reaching the end of the history part, which is like 1, 2, 3 simple, interesting history, and then I want to talk more about. Oh, I don't know what's the English for that in Ukrainian. That would be pobut, which is like living, lifestyle, because I think that's what not many people. What is the typical, I don't know, house, typical day, typical food, typical family, something like that. Once I've read a good observing the English, that was a good book, but that was too scientific, and what I'm trying to um, write is less scientific and more like interesting. But have you had a glass of red wine lately? No, no. I had beer in Lviv, but no. When I'm working, it's really good. Like when you're working, um, I don't need to eat. That's good for your shape. Like, mm, thank you so much. I'm not a psychologist, but if I were a doctor, I never like, my parents were doctors, dentists, and at a certain period of time, they dreamt for me to be a doctor, but I never wanted. I felt like a doctor is a vocation, and I'm afraid of doctors, I'm afraid of other stuff. Well, like not anymore, because what I had to go through with my mom taught me like you can do everything. But personally, I never wanted that. But good evening. um, and but if I had to be a doctor, I would like to be a psychiatrist or psychotherapist, because that's really interesting. Um, yes, I think things would be much better if Putin was arrested. Greetings to a happy father of two doctors. That's good. That's clever, and that's important for human people, for human life in general. It's one of the most, I'd say, important professions in the world. I think it's very important that Putin does not die like I don't know, want to compare him to a dog, because dogs are cute like somewhere. I don't want him to be brutally killed on the streets. I would like him to be prosecuted. You've told me prosecuted. I've learned the word, and I like it when you teach me. Oh, Trev, hello. I contacted Eugenia, and we did not fix the times. First of all, let me know, how do you find Lviv? I know that's your first visit, and maybe we can figure out something. But I would love to talk to you, and special greetings and an extra tea. And I'm super grateful. I know one more my subscriber, Steve, is now in Lviv. I don't advise you, because it's very dangerous, and missiles are coming, and we are a bit trained and we know how to react. But if you make this choice and you're brave, and I can only say thank you for all you do, because you give beautiful examples to your countrymen, and you also give immense support to Ukrainians who feel like, okay, people are coming, people are with us, people are here, and that is definitely something very, very meaningful to us since the very beginning of this war. Thank you so much for coffee, George. I don't know how many foreigners are visiting Ukraine these days. Of course, fewer than it was before. Well, like private citizens around the world, thank you so much, Pat, and warm greetings to you, a friend. Well, like, look, War is always complicated and very dynamic. Um, yeah, let me know how long are you staying in Lviv, and maybe, or just like in Lutsk, we'll figure out. And uh, like, I feel very bad, and I think Run Forest, 10 cheers to you. And I feel like one of the things that bothers me greatly are the tragedies of those people who lose their houses. Have you seen what they did in Kharkiv? Like a 10-year boy. I did not share this photo. There is a photo of this boy that was sleeping at night, covered with his blanket, and he was found dead like that, just because he's Ukrainian. And you know, like, but apart from those who were killed, there are so many people who simply lose houses, and many of these people will never get their flats. You know, like in Ukraine, yeah, um, we are optimists, not only me. Private property in Ukraine is very expensive. We don't have this system that many Ukrainians love, and just like you're talking about your taxes, so many Ukrainians are talking about credits that you have in your countries, because Ukrainian credits were always awful. And if it was like something, for example, I don't know, 2-3% in many countries, in Ukraine it would be 26-28%, which makes like you pay 4 times the sum. And Ukrainian banking system is not that trustworthy, and other stuff. So Ukrainians always try to collect money and to buy. It's more common. Like, we don't have that big houses as they in US. Like, many people do live in apartment houses. It's more common. Of course, others want to buy a house, but that's more common later. Rent is also like popular, but like the majority is to buy, trying to collect money and to buy something. Many buy like Khrushchevkas, which are cheaper, uh, but real estate is very expensive in Ukraine, even right now. You know, I cannot explain it. Um, uh, I just like was thinking like, what's I'm asking things. I'm trying to figure out. Like, I live in my flat that I like inherited from my parents. So like, I don't need to buy one, but that's mine. I have to pay for gas, electricity, and other stuff, but it's mine. Uh, but like, honestly, a flat in Lutsk will cost the same as in flat in Lublin, which is in EU and without missiles. Uh, yes, in rural areas, it may be way cheaper. Like in rural areas, of course. But if you want to buy, I think that a flat in Kiev will cost you not very far away from a flat in somewhere on the suburbs of Berlin, and that's what I don't understand. Ein bisschen. Um, and that's kind of weird, but that's optimistic. And when people lose their houses, as they do, and many of them, like, are people in their 50s and their 60s, I mean those who do not start their career and collecting money, but people who maybe support their elderly parents because pensions are really low. And they lose their flat, they will never be able to buy it back. Government offers them, of course, something. They do not live in the streets. There are shelters. There are old hospitals, old sanatoriums, and other stuff that is reconstructed, or there are mm, there are like houses that are built very quickly, like module houses where they can live. But you understand it's not the quality of life you had. It's not your flat. It's not your toilet. It's not your kitchen. And you're living like with many, many people who are different. And you did not choose them. Glory to heroes. And I cannot imagine how these people will get their property again, where, and so on. So when you think about civilians, I think about such initiatives and such people. Of course, it's good to work with big charities and big funds, not to get deceived, because like it's war, and everywhere during Second World War, First World War, there are also lots of people using the situation, fraud, and so on. There are lots of people collecting money, for example, on Facebook for a wounded husband, and then you see like one and the same photo travels from different groups. And in Ukraine, we detect such things and we report them, but it also happens. So you have to be careful with that and never trust something unusual. Or it's always good to double check. Sometimes you send me questions about web pages or about funds. I don't always have. Uh, I don't know about YouTube wars. I like, oh, if only you knew what I watch on YouTube, like apart from uh, serious channels, you'd unsubscribe. I feel like I have to read more about that, but I don't know that. I don't think Putin will attempt to mass mobilize in months or two. I think he has a lot of orcs to volunteer because, once again, you cannot imagine how um, I'm sorry, I lost the question and I did not manage. There are lots of poor people in Russia, poor drunk people who's actually plan in life to die of alcoholism, and they see it. Um, and they see it as an opportunity because sooner or later they will die of drinking in their depressive villages, and they can die in front lines, but before that, for 2 or 3 months, their families will receive high salaries, which are not really high, but high for Russia. So adopting cities, that is well, like insurance for property destroyed by the orcs. Insurance works when it happens to one flat or two flats. No insurance fund will live through like 200,000 destroyed houses. And insurance is not popular, that popular as in many countries. No, people typically do not insure their things. And no one would have sought to insure the flats against the war, maybe against the fire or against, I don't know, robbery, earthquake, but not against the war. And I think no one would agree. Will you be traveling in winter? I have some travelings coming, and honestly, I feel like a bit exhausted with these travels. I like traveling, but there are many things that I want to do. I want to focus on the book. And when you're traveling, you don't have enough. But typically, I travel for 3, 4 days, so no, not that much. I will be in Prague in December for an Aspen influencer project. I'm a huge fan of the team and of the project. I learn really a lot from them. They connect us to really interesting people, and I feel like I'm a fan of Aspen, honestly, because there are lots of trainings. They are good, but they are just like something ordinary you can Google. And here I feel like, oh my God, many things coming, and it's interesting. So adopting cities, that is a beautiful idea. I believe in twinning the cities. It's good for culture, it's good for festivals, it's good for, I don't know, similar programs, reconstructions, exchange among museums, I don't know, travels of children. But it does not work for the reconstruction of the city, its infrastructure, and other stuff. I would say it's not very realistic. How do you see like your city rebuilding, for example, Kharkiv? How will it like? I can imagine like people from Kharkiv traveling to your city. I can imagine a joint festival. I can imagine children coming for a winter semester, but I cannot imagine like so many of these things are just beautiful words. Of course, they are important, both from the moral and this cultural psychological perspective, but otherwise, yeah, we have twinning sisters. We also have twin sister. My city has, but it's good. It's mainly in cultural, educational, tourism fields. It's just not everywhere. Um, why would I use Russian airlines? Yeah, we do have car insurance, but I mean flats and houses, and no one would insure them against missile. Did you insure your flats against missiles? Perhaps not. Perhaps some floods, hurricanes, something more typical. So, um, okay, I see that. Which city is Lviv's twin? Let me Google. Um, I don't know. In Ukrainian, this is Mista Pobratime. Uh, yeah, I saw this fun thing when Ukrainian soldier decided to make fun and called Russian tech support for a tank. And only at the end of the conversation, he informed him that actually we captured a Russian tank and I'm a Ukrainian soldier asking for your advice. Um, okay, so the twin cities of Lviv are Winnipeg, Freiburg, Rochdale, Rzeszów, Budapest, Rishon LeZion, Bron, Kraków, Przemyśl, Nowy Sad, Kutaisi, Wrocław, Lodz, Lublin, Banja Luka, Tbilisi, Vilnius, Plovdiv, and Chengdu. A lot. Greetings to Winnipeg, and Lutsk has fewer, fewer twin cities. So yeah, uh, that's a lot of really good people. Thank you so much, Brian, for buying me coffees and adding more inspiration to this depressive Ukrainian. Like, I'm not depressive, but guys, it is such an absurdity what happens, and it's all just because of Russia. If you have higher taxes, if you have problems with, I don't know, heating, if we have problems with surviving, if we have this ecocide, it's not just because we're not perfect. Of course, all of us are not perfect. You are not perfect. There are lots of weird habits and decisions in your cities and your countries, in mine too, maybe more. But we are all normal. I mean, like, it's just like you always know when someone is crazy, when someone is willing to stab you with a knife. Like if someone is a little bit greedy or someone is a little bit how do you say it, um, ranting, that's one thing. You may not very much like these people, but they are normal, you can live with them. And when someone is a serial killer, that's Russia. And it's so sad that many people destroy the Crimean bridge, give us atacoms, or how do you spell it, and we will destroy the bridge with pleasure. Okay. Also, you remember that, like, I have lots of interesting interviews on the channel that I had with Jake Bro, who is a huge inspiration. I did like conversation with him. He made me feel more optimistic, honestly. Vlad Wexler is very deep, and he is very sensitive and emotional, and he teaches us to prepare to a long war. Jake says, no, 6 months and everything will be over. And it's all very, very unpredictable. But at the same time, it's good to feel different opinions, to try to shape your own um, things. And I'm very grateful. I hope you visit Silicon Curtain channel. Jonathan is doing a very awesome, exquisite, elegant, I would say, intellectual work. Operator Starsky is great because he combines front lines, he combines interesting information and this real military point of view. These are definitely the people I advise you to watch and whom I respect greatly. And okay, Martin and Spencer, we see you want to see an interview with Spencer, but then we have to make an interview with Martin too. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. So Jake definitely made me feel a lot better too, honestly. When I was talking to him, we had this stupid fly and he was very understanding. I had this fly. It did not appear during the day. It's a Russian fly, perhaps. It was sabotaging my um, interview, and I could not start catching it, and I pretended I don't care. And it's not even a cat, like when a cat comes into your video, it's super cute, and the video can become viral and people will like it. But when it's a fly, it's not sexy at all, and you have to make it disappear. But anyway, yeah. Uh, Yeah, you got in trouble, Martin, but you long ago got in trouble when you agreed to be my co-dictator. Maybe it was an NASA, and yeah, maybe if it's a good fly, yeah, maybe. But anyway, how is Lutsk doing at this time of the year? Oh, well, the Lutsk, why is the Lutsk? Lutsk is going well, but it was super windy today. um, and it's raining and it's like time for hot wine already and like layering of your clothes. And actually, um, I turned on heating, and I have autonomous heating, and I turned it on. I will turn it off for a night perhaps, but at the moment, um, and yeah, changing colors. It was warm really long, and I know that all over Europe it was like that. It was like super warm for shorts and dresses. Mm, Everyone should read Peter Pomerantsev books. Yes, and I've met Peter, and he's very awesome, and he has lots of good things. But he agrees that nobody has a plan. Nobody has a plan. So we interviewed him and many more people, many more interesting names, and promised me that when documentary is out, you will watch it. No, we are not through with Soviet myths debunked, but you can give us some ideas. We've made a pause because when I was like, I saw that, honestly, I have to confess, like my Discover Ukraine and my Soviet myths debunked series are for like I feel it's my obligation, and I want to educate people more, and I have to like prepare harder, and I do the research, and I work with Sasha, who does a lot of work, and like everything, cutting everything and so on. And and we have less views than of an ordinary vlog, so it looks like a lot of work to do, and not many people watching in comparison to vlogs. But I will definitely continue, and that was one of the reasons where when I felt like nobody's watching Russian crimes, nobody's watching Soviet myths debunked, so I would ask, what do you want to see, and many voted for Discover Ukraine. But I think I will just like go from one to one and return back. So, uh, by the way, I would be great if you give me some uh, ideas on what you would like to see in Soviet myths or discover Ukraine. Mm. As to sell a Putin dartboard, I will give that idea for our designer. Uh, yeah, I had about Soviet army. I had Soviet myths debunked about Soviet army, something like that. But I will think about that. Hmm. Okay, then maybe something about Soviet myths. I wanted like to make a video. Honestly, I think a nation is crazy when they have their dead leader, a lion in the center of their square. For me, honestly, like they had this huge excursions to see the dead Lenin in mausoleum in Moscow, and for me, even this thing is so freakish. Like, um, honestly, like you don't understand what might be normal with a part of yeah. So anyway, uh, yeah, that is something very awkward and very unusual. Yeah, if you think about that, they have so many like weird things. Anyway, let me know what are the other videos you would like to see, and I will be happy to film too. Or maybe I will leave a question in our community tab what you would like to see next. Uh, okay, about the MiG 17 and the jet that never flew. There are so many myths. Like in Russia, you can not even not die. Like, there is one saying uh, that you may, mm, I don't know, uh, die in Russia, but if Putin does not want that, you will participate in Zooms like Sokolov did, or we don't even know. Like, once again, I'm not into conspiracy theories, and I hate that. Like, and I see that many people who are into conspiracy theories, they are actually often pro-Russian and other stuff, so I'm not a supporter. But in Russia, it is honestly not a conspiracy story that everything is possible. Like there can be three doublets of Putin or other thing, and it might be anything. So that like if one dies, the second one continues. If the second dies, the third one continues until the Politburo or FSB decides to do something different. So maybe two, three more questions, and I will let you go and enjoy your life, maybe without wind, without rain, without war, but with some other problems, because all of us are human beings, and I pretty well understand that um, there are always wars that we fight. They may not like, it's difficult when you have to combine like real war with some personal wars. So my winter preparations. I think I will make a video on that about my winter preparations. Don't tell Russians, but I'm not very good at winter preparations. In my flat, I have a. You told me last year, um, and it's like a fireplace, but it's smaller. It's not like in the castle, because so far I'm not living in the castle. I would like to, but in a modernized one. But I live in a flat. And in a flat, you don't have this classical fireplaces like big that Santa can come out of. I have a smaller one that closes the door. So with glass or something. And so literally I do have some wood. What do you put in a fireplace? How do you call it? It's wood, but um, So I can heat myself if there is no electricity. And also, I want to buy EcoFlow, if you know what's that. It is something like a big accumulator that you can charge your phone, you can charge your um, logs. Yeah, logs. I can charge my laptop and a film. So that's it. Um, that's what I might. A question about Baba Yaga. That is a magical creature, like more of a witch. It's more common, at least this word, like this name, is more common for Russia in Russian literature. It is claimed that it is an old Slavic, like evil spirit or something, and that it might be common for many countries like Ukraine, Belarus, Poland, and other. And it seems to me that they have something similar in Poland. So I would not say that she's Russian, but in Ukraine, it's not so like everywhere. I have a power bank, but power bank is something smaller than EcoFlow. Power bank is good for your phone when traveling to Kyiv and you spend too much time on your telephone and you don't have a charger. What will I do first upon victory? Well, beach party in Crimea would be good. I would like to feel happy without this feeling of remorse or guilt, like when you feel happy and there is no sadness on the background. Because it would be a lie to tell that we constantly, Baba, yes, but Baba is a word that present in many languages. Well, it is present in our myths too, but I would not say that there is a Vasek Telesik, very horror fairy tale. I don't know if some of you know, but it's really uh, awful fairy tale. So, power bank is smaller than EcoFlow, and generators are good for houses. They are everywhere on the streets of Lutsk. If you walk down any street, you will see lots and lots of generators. So you may find a lot of them. Yeah, Baba Yaga is Simanyan. Yeah, indeed. Like, they are pure evil, guys. We are normal, or at least a bit normal. And we cannot imagine that such evil as Russians or Russian propagandists exist. We think they believe in something, we think they have a message, or maybe they were deceived. No, they are just pure evil. It's just like a maniac who likes killing and watching his victim suffer. Stop trying to find an explanation. Like the world has become so tolerant that it seems to me many will feel more sorry for a maniac because perhaps he was traumatized in childhood or he did not have to speak to whom, and victim was just like dressed inappropriately and walked at night from the club, but she should have taken more care. But the maniac is actually, I am not very looking forward for Christmas. This and previous summer, winter were really bad. Like I lost mom on the 20th of January, and in Ukraine it is still a very like Christmas around period. And we got her diagnosis a year before that, also when people were decorating Christmas trees. So I'm afraid that might trigger a lot of things. And and that is just like things. But of course, I will like things, and I will want presents, and I will want mulled wine, or how do you call that? And other things. So, and okay. It is not obligatory to have an insurance for an apartment. I watch to the landscape daily address, but I cannot. There are some days that I skip, but in general, I do. In Ukrainian, grandmother is babusia або babcia. Babusia або babcia. So thank you so much for all of your beautiful questions, for all of your support. And yeah, baba is, we also say baba, but it's a little bit less like sweet, less kind. Babusia or babta is warmer, just like diminutives. But yeah, babusia. Thank you once again that I have you in my life. I value you very much. And please forgive my complaints. These were not addressed to you. I was trying to explain how it feels when we um don't when we don't feel like support or understanding, and maybe I have provided you some arguments that you might like. Then go check our merch because the designer is extremely worried when nobody wants anything. He thinks so he designed something wrong, but that's totally okay. Only if you like, but you can check because there is a Halloween collection and there are other things that might be interesting, our cultural heritage stuff and all that. Thank you so much. Subscribe to my Instagram. I'm trying to push it a bit because not because I'm a huge fan of Instagram, but because I feel Ukrainian presence is not very visible there, and it's a little bit lighter. So I update more like lighter things, but also I do reels about Ukraine there. So if you like it, you may find the description is below. Martin inspired me to have Discord, and there is a Discord community, a very beautiful and strong community. You can join it too. Twitter, I'm still in, but Threads, you can join me there. And thank you for all these coffees. Thank you for being my patrons, helping me film Discover Ukraine, Soviet Myth Debunked, and Russian crimes, helping me write that book, asking me questions, giving me ideas. You fill my life up with warmth, with confidence, with the feeling that I'm doing something for my country and that people all over the world care about my country. And you cannot imagine how important all that is. So thank you very much. Many hugs. Warmth your way. If it's cold and windy, find a good place. Feel that you're alive. Be grateful for that. Thank you for all the positive vibes, energy, and prayers that you're sending Ukrainian way. And of course, we have to win this war, and only together we can do that. And let's visualize this Crimea beach party or Kyiv party or Lutsk party. We can party literally in every Ukrainian center, village, mountain, lake, whatever you choose. Maybe we will launch a beautiful tourist business or something. Thank you so much once again. Love you and see you. Bye bye. Slava Ukraini.